Well, Jason Fernandes joins us on the line again. Now, Jason, earlier on in the show, you joined us and we spoke about ICOs and the difficulty they've had in November. Now, this is quite a contrasting story because what we're discussing now is the fact that up to 85% of experts have put in interest is growing. Crypto users have doubled in the second quarters of this year. More countries and organizations have also shown interest in cryptocurrencies, despite the price being low. From this, are we seeing that a bull run is near and is close?
So exactly. So there's certainly a mismatch with the fact that there's a lot more cryptocurrency users, and at the same time, you're seeing cryptocurrency prices at an all-time low. I mean, on one hand, that sort of makes sense because you're going to start seeing new people getting into the market, but clearly not enough people that are getting into the market. Otherwise, you'd have those prices at much higher. But I think overall, what that means is that overall, people are getting more and more understanding to the concept of crypto, and so you're going to have more users, and then as the market starts to recover, all those new users are going to kick in and might make the market go much farther than before, perhaps. So I think that probably the relationship between those two factors are that as more people come in, the prices will rise, particularly because overall what that means is that the fundamentals are strong.
Mm-hmm. And can we interpret this also as institutional money coming in? That's a lot been the speculation in the past few weeks that institutional money is beginning to enter the space. Is that something that we can assume here?
Yeah, so I think there's definitely some institutional money coming in, but I don't think it's at the level that we're going to start seeing towards next year. I'm not sure that completely accounts for all the new crypto users in general, because a lot of them, were already around from the get-go and were just not as active as investors.
Absolutely. And now we're going to turn our attention to the significance of a release for a request for input from Ether and Ethereum from the CFTC. Now, this is really interesting because it seems like throughout the rest of this month in particular, the need and the desire for Ethereum had kind of slowed down a little bit. What we have seen is interest from CFTC. How did you interpret this news?
So I think it's obviously great news for Ethereum. I mean, Ethereum has been doing really badly. You mentioned $85, but there was a flash crash on Coinbase that had the price go down to $14. So I mean, people that are holding Ethereum are just loving the fact that this is being looked at. I think the request for information does imply that Ethereum futures are on the horizon, and I think this is not least because the Chicago Board of Options Exchange. And that's the same platform that basically launched Bitcoin futures in December 2017. They're just waiting for the green light from the CFTC to launch Ethereum options at the end of 2018 or possibly 2019. So I think I think the fact that this request for information is out there implies that Ethereum futures are on Ethereum futures are in the future.
And that's definitely exciting news for a lot of people in the space. Thank you so much for your insights so far, Jason. We'll join with you later on the show to discuss this in more detail. Thank you.
This is BloxLive TV.
Are Ethereum futures on the way? Well, joining us on the line to take a close look is Jason Fernandes from AEToken. Now, Jason, jumping straight in, I'd love to get your opinion on what you think the future of Ethereum-based futures could look like, what that could mean for price implications for Ethereum as well.
So I certainly think that would lead to a rise in prices for Ethereum, and I think one of the main indications for that is that when the news was announced around August 31st, you can see a slight bump in both Ethereum and the price of Bitcoin. They both showed a strong uptick on that day when that information was announced. So I think that would be good. That would be good for the price of Ethereum. Now, there's a lot. It's obviously there's also two sides of that coin, because a lot of people say, oh well, if that were to be done, that would make it possible for aggressive shorting of Ethereum, and that would hurt the value. But I think, I'm not too concerned about that, because I think even being able to short Ethereum is a crucial point of price discovery. So that would be good for the market in general.
Now, the Federal Reserve have also reported that the price of Bitcoin when it was reaching its all-time high was directly tied to the Bitcoin futures. Is there a risk of this kind of price action also from Ethereum as well?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was saying. I mean, I think overall, even if if there is a possibility that people will short Ethereum, that's not really the worst thing in the world, because that would help like put the price at a more manageable rate to where people understand what Ethereum is actually worth. So overall, it'd be healthy for the market.
And also what's interesting, we have to know, is that the Ethereum has been of more interest to the CFTC than Ripple's XRP. Now, despite Ripple and Ethereum overtaking each other for the position of the largest altcoin, what could this mean, and why are we seeing this Ethereum being the selective choice of option here?
Right. I think part of the reason why the CFTC is starting with Ethereum is because the SEC recently said categorically that both Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities. So Ethereum seems like the best way to start if you're going to be going that route. But if you look, I think that XRP Ripple futures are on the horizon. I mean, if you look at countries like the UK, so that was Ethereum was like the second cryptocurrency after Bitcoin to be regulated under the UK's Financial Conduct Authority. That's the FCA, and so there are actually startups in Britain, like crypto facilities, that's been operating a futures market for Ripple for over 18 months now. And so it already exists over there, and I believe their monthly trading value is something like $26 million or something. So it's quite significant, and I think that you're going to start seeing that happen in the US as well, possibly after Ethereum.
Exciting times ahead. Well, thank you so much for your insights so far. We'll touch on this for a final time throughout today's show. Thank you so much for your time.
Sure, thank you.
This is BloxLive TV.
Is it good news for Ethereum? Well, Jason Fernandes joins us on the line. Now, Jason, we've touched on the fact that Ethereum futures might be around the corner. Very exciting for a lot of people. And I think the big question here is, can Ethereum reclaim its position now that the CFTC has set its eyes on the cryptocurrency?
I think to some extent, all the cryptos are going to be reclaiming their spots. I mean, I think if you see, it's just bad for cryptos all around. But particularly with the move specifically to Ethereum, in terms of like the futures, that's going to raise the prices of Ethereum, because a lot of people are going to be buying Ethereum futures, and I don't think that like aggressively shorting Ethereum is going to be something that really happens to any manageable to any serious degree to where it affects the price.
And do you think, looking forward into the future, that Ethereum futures are actually the next step towards Ethereum ETFs?
Yeah, so I think that would be the natural progression of things, and I think Ethereum futures are on the horizon, particularly after the request for information. And I think certainly we know from the CBOE that they're looking at launching Ethereum futures. So that Ethereum ETFs would probably be right after that, similar to the way we saw with Bitcoin.
And now just to summarize the conversations that we have had throughout today's show. So if we note that actually despite this bear market, the number of cryptocurrency users has doubled, which is absolutely extraordinary. What does this tell us about the markets at the moment? How have you interpreted this news?
So yeah, I think that means that the fundamentals of the market are strong. I think that there's certainly a lot of interest for crypto, and there's a lot of people that are getting into the market, both on the side of on the ICO side, and also from the investing side. And I think that the fact that has increased despite the prices being low indicates that people don't expect the prices to stay low for long. I think most people, if you look on the internet, most experts don't believe this is going to last long, which means that now is a great time to buy it. It's like everything's on sale.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us throughout the show today. It was an absolute pleasure, as always, to get your insights. Thank you very much for your time today.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you so much, and let us know what you think of this interview. Do you think Ethereum futures are around the corner, and what could that mean for the price? Share your thoughts with us on BloxLive TV.
This is BloxLive TV.
The cryptocurrency market has been hard hit with a steep decline that has seen it lose 85% or nearly $700 billion of its value this year. But that's not stopped all interest in digital assets. Bloomberg reports that the number of crypto users has doubled in the first 3 quarters of 2018. Governments, international organizations, lawmakers and regulatory bodies have also expressed an increasing interest in the space. Examples of that is the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which has posted a new request for input on crypto assets, mechanics and markets. This comes as the CFTC looks to get a better understanding of the blockchain technology, mechanics and markets for virtual currencies beyond Bitcoin. The Commission went on to specify that Ether and the use on the Ethereum network are of particular interest. The CFTC is the regulatory authority over the U.S. commodity futures market. The financial authority seeks knowledge of the similarities and distinctions between Ether and Bitcoin. It also wants to learn of Ether-specific opportunities, challenges and risks. The regulatory body said all public comments are welcome on these and related issues. Bitcoin is currently the only cryptocurrency with regulated futures trading. The question is, are Ether futures in the works? The derivatives market regulators could delay the approval of Ether futures, according to Bloomberg. Ethereum has been under heavy selling pressure in recent months, trading as low as $85. It gave up the number of one altcoin positions to Ripple's XRP coin. The bear market has taken its toll, along with a regulatory hit on initial coin offerings that were a major part of the Ethereum network's success. Well, let's discuss the future of X altcoin king for more.